On today's video, we are talking about USDA loans, 0% down USDA loans. And now maybe you're thinking, USDA, like the sticker that's on organic food? Exactly. How's it going, y'all? My name is Jesse Lynch. I'm a real estate agent here in the Twin Cities, but this YouTube channel is devoted to two things. The first of which is teaching people about buying, selling, investing in real estate. The second of which is showing off the amazing place that I live, the Twin Cities of Minnesota. So if both or either of those two things appeal to you, do us both a favor, subscribe to the channel, click the little bell to get notified, give this video a thumbs up, and like always, say what's up in the comments. I appreciate the comments, and really the thumbs up and the comments really do help the videos. It just shows the YouTube algorithm that, oh, these videos are helpful, people like these videos, and then so they show it to more people, and ultimately we can help more people. So anyways, I appreciate y'all watching this, but enough housekeeping. Like I said at the beginning, this video is about USDA loans, 0% down USDA loans, and USDA does indeed, in this case, still stand for United States Department of Agriculture. And now you might be thinking, what does USDA have to do with home loans? And that's a super good question. I basically had the same exact thought when I first heard about it, but it does make a lot of sense. The more that I learn about real estate and investing and lending, the more that I realize a lot of what's going on is the government is trying to incentivize certain behavior, okay? So for example, in investing, there are definitely tax benefits to owning rental properties, right? And whether or not you agree that those tax advantages should be there, that's a whole other topic, but they are there. And why are they there? The idea is that the government is sort of incentivizing members of the public to buy and own rental properties because the government doesn't want to be the landlord for the people, right? And because they don't want to be like the landlord of the people, they provide incentives to members of the public to buy homes and rent them out and be the landlord themselves. And then so take that to FHA, right? If you've watched my other videos about like conventional versus FHA, you know that FHA is basically like a part of the government, Federal Housing Administration. And FHA was started, I forget when, but I think it was like post Great Depression. And the idea was that they wanted more and more people to become homeowners because that is generally good for the country and the economy, for more people to be allowed to sort of participate in equity of homeownership and grow their wealth. So now we sort of take that same incentive idea, right, and we apply it to USDA. Why would the United States Department of Agriculture try to incentivize people to buy a home, right? That seems weird at first, but it does make sense. And they're moving from rural areas to more metropolitan areas because in theory, there are more opportunities, for work in metropolitan areas. But the USDA knows like, well, we need people in rural areas. We need rural communities. And why? Because of farming, for one, right? Farming is probably the biggest reason why. And that's kind of where farming and USDA, those are tied together, agriculture. And so the federal government, by way of the USDA, acknowledges that we do need rural communities because we can't only have farmers living in rural communities. Otherwise, there's no infrastructure, right? There's no towns, there's no stores, there's no people for, the likes of farmers. And farmers are very, very much an important part of American economy. And now, so because of this, they want to incentivize people to come live out in rural areas. And so how do they do that? With 0% down USDA loans. Okay, and it might sound like a little bit too good to be true, but it's not. It is a real thing. And rural isn't necessarily defined as like the middle of nowhere. It's outside of the major metropolitan area. Unfortunately here, the Twin Cities metro area is pretty massive and pretty sprawling. So you kind of have to get outside of like that third ring of suburbs, right? So on the south, that's Farmington. Basically the border of the metropolitan area goes all the way east to the border of Wisconsin and Minnesota, and actually even a little further than that. And then to the north, it's maybe like St. Michael, Isani, like right around that area is sort of the cutoff. And then to the west, I'm not even 100% sure about this, but I would presume out west of the likes of Minnetonka and Orono. Anyways, I will provide a link in the description to the USDA's like eligibility map. You can put in an address and see if that comes up, or you can kind of peruse the map and see where the cutoffs are, right? But fair warning, it's a federal website. In my opinion, almost all federal websites suck. Okay, so now you kind of understand like, well, what is the USDA loan? It's basically loans for rural areas, and even better, you know where to find out, if a house is eligible for these loans, and you know why they give them out. And so obviously, I'm not a lender. I can't like promise you anything or guarantee that these things are going to work out this way, but I can tell you about this idea of the USDA loan, right? And I can tell you some details about it, which is what I will do. But again, this isn't financial advice. I have an amazing lender who can tell you all about this stuff. But anyways, this is an introduction. This gets your foot in the door. So what's up with the USDA loan? Okay, so the first thing, the reason that I'm even talking about this, right, is 0% down or 100% financing, right? That is a very, very powerful lever to pull. If you want to own a house, and specifically you want to live in a more rural area, maybe you're okay adding 10 or 20 minutes to your drive because it means that you can become a homeowner with 0% down. And so how do you qualify for it, right? Like every other loan, there are guidelines and certain qualifications that you need to hit in order to qualify for the loan. So on a USDA loan, the minimum credit score, FICO score, whatever you want to call it, is 620, right? Pretty low, pretty achievable for a lot of people, and pretty in line with FHA. FHA, I believe, can go as low as like 580, but it can be a challenge to get that. But FHA basically spans from like 580 to 640, right? So that 620 is definitely, right in there. If you're buying a piece of land with a manufactured home, right, like a mobile home on it, then for some reason they bump up that minimum FICO score to 640. Still a pretty attainable credit score. So there are income limits to a 0% down FHA loan. I think the point is, well, if you make a bunch of money, then you can afford like a conventional loan. But I will say that I think the income limits are pretty fair. They basically go between $94,000 and $99,000 depending on the county. And that's like a per household income, right? So $96,000 to $99,000 per household. But then anything above that, basically you're going to need FHA or conventional financing or some other more creative thing. But anyways, that's a rabbit hole. Like with FHA, there's like a monthly mortgage insurance, right? Actually, the federal government is just insuring these loans to private lenders, and they're saying, okay, we will insure these loans that you give out and make sure that you sort of are made whole if anything were to happen. And so they charge a monthly mortgage insurance of 0.35%. Again, I'm just going to tell you to talk to a lender, and it's basically specific to each house to kind of show like what does that actually mean. And unlike FHA, these 0% down USDA loans, they charge a 1% mortgage insurance on top of the loan. So that being said, if you're buying a home in a rural area with a 0% down USDA loan, they will tack on 1% on top of that. So a $200,000 house, you're actually going to be financing a $202,000 loan. But still, it's not like that 1% has to come out of your pocket. You are still financing that over time. And I guess if you want a house for 0% down, to some degree, you got to pay the piper, right? And so those two mortgage insurance elements are really the fundamental like costs of doing 0% down. In underwriting these loans, they use this thing called a guaranteed underwriting system. It's fundamentally the same idea as the underwriting systems for FHA. And basically what it is they're not going to lend more than what they determine the house is worth. But that's basically a true idea for most loans. So depending on the county, the most that they'll loan on these USDA loans is pushing $550,000, which is honestly quite a lot for a rural home, but maybe like a hobby farm or the likes of that, you could still get into a $550,000 home. They have what they call conforming loan limits, which basically means like they're not going to loan anything above a certain number. And in this case, USDA, they're conforming loan numbers, and it depends on the county and the state, but to some degree, but more or less, they're not lending anything over $548,000. Okay, but that's like a pretty expensive home, especially when you're talking about a rural area. So again, a pretty powerful, pretty accommodating lever to pull. Okay, now if you've watched my other sort of first-time home buyer videos, you may have heard me talk about debt to income, or DTI, right? And so every loan has a debt to income ratio. There's like a limit. And usually how it's calculated is how much of your monthly income, and usually how it's calculated is how much of your gross monthly income can be allocated towards debt. Okay, and with USDA loans, there's two numbers. It's 29 and 41. I have to say this really confused me. I was like, what is this? Is this a fraction? I literally started shooting this video and talked about it being a fraction. And then I was like, that's like 70% debt to income. That doesn't seem right. Anyways, it has been explained to me. 29 is the first number, 41 is the second number. So 29 is what percentage of your income can be the house payment, okay? So even if you have zero debt otherwise, your house payment can't go over 29% of your gross monthly income. I just ran some numbers, so bear with me. If your household annual income is $50,000 a year, okay? So whether that's just one person and that's all the income, or if that's a couple and you both make $25,000 a year, that part doesn't matter. If your household annual income is $50,000 a year, that means that you're pulling in gross before taxes around $4,100 a month. Okay, so then that 29 number means that your mortgage payment can't be more than 29% of your monthly gross income, which again was $41,000, which means that your maximum mortgage payment, which are monthly, would be $1,208 a month. So then what is the second number? Okay, well that is your total monthly debt. Most people don't have zero, dollars in debt obligation every month. But even if you do have zero debt, then you're limited to that 29% DTI. So let's take those same numbers, that $50,000 a year, and let's say you have a car payment, a bit of credit card debt that doesn't get paid off every month, and some school loans. And maybe that equals a total of $800 a month. Okay, so then what we do is we take your monthly gross income, which is right around $4,100, and then we times that times 0.41, or whatever, divided by 41%. I don't know, that's how I do percentages. And that comes up with a total of $1,708. But, like we said before, you have $800 in monthly debt obligations, which we would subtract from that $1,708, which would mean that these USDA loans would allow you a monthly payment of approximately $908. Okay, so you take your monthly gross income, you times it times 0.41, and then you subtract your monthly debts from that, and then you will arrive at the maximum monthly mortgage payment that you are allowed. So you can scale that up or down according to your income and your debt. Okay, moving on. Okay, I know that was a lot of information. I know some of you are gonna be like, no way, can't live in a rural area, put me in a condo downtown, but then others of you have been just scheming for the last 10 minutes. And that being said, if the USDA loan or sort of any other thing that I've ever talked about on this channel appeals to you, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Call, text, email, leave me a message on my website, DM me on Instagram, DM me on Facebook. You may have seen on my last video that I'm starting a team, and I promise you it is going to be the hardest working, most genuine, most helpful team. No salesy bullshit, no pressure, no commission breath, and best of all, I would say, no agents who have no idea what they're talking about. No matter what, I am going to be overseeing everything. I'm going to make sure that you are very well taken care of. Obviously, I'm still helping people buy and sell, but legitimately with this YouTube thing, with other things, I've hit critical mass. But I've had to bring on 2 agents who I think are an excellent fit for this team. Very hardworking, very just genuine people. They come from the hospitality sector. Like me, they come from the hospitality world. Anyways, I'm not trying to sell you on this, but I am starting this team. I'm calling it To the Twin Cities. And so you will be seeing some more of my team sprinkled into these videos, and they will be helping me a great deal take the best care of everybody that I can while still allowing me to make these videos. That's one thing that I realize is I can't be as busy as I've gotten and still make these very helpful videos. I hit a critical mass. And so I think these videos are hugely helpful and I want to continue making them. So I brought in some agents to help me out. Okay, we did it. That's 0% down USDA loan video. Thank you so much for watching. Again, subscribe to the channel, click the bell to get notified, give the video a thumbs up. Please do that one. And say what's up in the comments. Okay, that's enough of this. Thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to meet you. Can't wait to show you around the Twin Cities and the greater rural Minnesota. All right, love you. Bye-bye.